Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join me as we explore Southwest's lost historical characters, stunning desert vistas, forgotten Native American history, or tales of lost gold mines. There's always something new to discover. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Sit back and enjoy. The American frontier has produced countless remarkable characters, but few stories can match the incredible tale of Charles Owen Brown, a man whose life read like a dime store novel, yet every chapter was drawn from documented history. This is not a story about the Charlie Brown of comic strip fame, but rather an epic saga of survival, adventure, and the building of the American Southwest, a tale that spans nearly 8 decades and embodies the very spirit of frontier America. His first brush with death came during a fateful voyage from New Orleans to Tampico. According to his daughter Josephine's carefully preserved accounts, the ship encountered catastrophic difficulties and went down, leaving young Charlie fighting for his life in the vast expanse of the Gulf of Mexico. For 3 grueling days, he clung to a wooden box, adrift in the open sea. When he finally washed ashore near San Antonio de Sabanito, his worldly possessions had been reduced to nothing more than a shirt collar and a single gold button. Humble beginnings for a man who would later become one of the Southwest's most influential pioneers. But fortune, they say, favors the bold, and young Charlie Brown was nothing if not bold. Local fishermen, moved by the plight of the shipwrecked boy, provided him with a pair of overalls, a simple act of kindness that gave him the dignity to begin again. Then came what seemed like divine intervention. Charlie walked into a bowling alley and, through either extraordinary skill or remarkable luck, emerged with approximately $700 in winnings. His first purchase spoke volumes about his character and ambitions, a proper Prince Albert suit, a choice that suggested this young man already understood the importance of presentation and respectability in creating opportunities. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest Lost Tale. If you would like to help support my channel in time, hit the super thanks heart icon on the bottom of the video and contribute. This is very helpful. Relax and enjoy. The next chapter of Brown's story took him far from the Gulf Coast, as he deliberately avoided the direct route through Texas, instead traveling through Monterey to reach the West Coast. His destination was the California gold fields of Merced, where he would join the thousands of hopeful prospectors seeking their fortunes. While historians dispute the exact amount, Brown was said to have struck it incredibly rich, finding nearly $1 million in gold. What isn't disputed is what he did next. He returned home to give much of his fortune to his mother, demonstrating a sense of filial duty that would seem at odds with his earlier escape from home. In 1848, at the age of 19, Charlie Brown first arrived in what would become the Arizona Territory, though at the time it was still part of Mexico. This initial visit was brief, but it gave him a taste of the frontier that would eventually become his home. It wasn't until 1858 that he would make Tucson his permanent residence, but the intervening years were far from quiet. They contained some of the darkest chapters of his life, including his notorious involvement with the Glanton Gang. The gang, led by the infamous Captain John Glanton, worked under contract with the Mexican government, hunting Apaches for bounties, $150 per scalp. This brutal chapter in Brown's life demonstrates the complex and often violent nature of frontier existence, where the line between law and lawlessness was frequently blurred. His association with this group nearly cost him his life when most of the gang was massacred at their Colorado River Ferry operation in 1850. Two different accounts explain his survival. One claims he was out chopping wood with companions during the massacre, while another credits a warning from a friendly Indian chief. Either way, it was another example of Brown's seemingly charmed ability to escape death. The Glanton Gang period wasn't the only time Brown found himself on the wrong side of the law. A dramatic incident in San Diego saw him shoot a person in the plaza, leading to his arrest and placement under military guard. True to form, Brown managed to escape with another prisoner, adding another chapter to his growing legend. But these brushes with the law would soon give way to a more respectable, though no less colorful period in his life. In 1868, Brown established what would become one of the most famous gambling houses in the Southwest, the Congress Hall Saloon. Located at the southeast corner of Congress and Meyer Streets in Tucson, the establishment was created in partnership with J.A. Russell. The Congress Hall was housed in an L-shaped adobe building that would become a landmark in early Tucson. Brown spared no expense in creating an establishment that would stand out even in a larger, more established city. The wooden floors were constructed using lumber hauled all the way from Santa Fe at the astronomical cost of $600 per 1,000 feet. Even the door locks were a luxury item, costing $12 each, a princely sum for the time. The crown jewel of the establishment was a massive 5 by 10-foot mirror brought in from San Francisco, lending an air of sophistication to the desert establishment. The gambling operations were managed by a colorful cast of characters that could have stepped straight out of a Western novel. Fred G. Hughes ran the faro table with professional precision, while Jack Blinkhorn managed the Keno games with expertise. Perhaps the most memorable character was a peculiar fellow known as Six-Toed Pete, who supervised the Monte games with his own unique style. But Congress Hall was far more than just a gambling house. It became Tucson's cultural and political hub. The saloon hosted grand balls and receptions, provided a venue for political meetings, and served as an entertainment center for the growing city. Brown maintained a selection of newspapers from across the Union and provided writing materials for his guests, making Congress Hall a center of information and communication in an era when news traveled slowly. He even established a mineral cabinet and historical reminiscences display, adding an educational element to his establishment. The same year he opened Congress Hall, Brown's personal life took a significant turn when he married Señorita Clara Bourvain. Together, they built what would become one of Tucson's most notable homes on Jackson Street. In 1876, they extended the property to Camp Street, which would later become Broadway, creating a residence that reflected both Brown's success and his commitment to bringing sophistication to the frontier. The house was a testament to Brown's attention to detail and appreciation for quality. The walls were constructed 24 inches thick using adobe, providing natural insulation against the harsh desert climate. He imported redwood from California for the finest details and secured pine vigas from the Santa Rita Mountains at $20 each for the structural elements. The home featured a double roof system of both dirt and tin, an innovative approach to desert architecture that provided maximum protection against the elements. The property's grounds were equally impressive, featuring a verdant patio filled with fig, pomegranate, orange, and palm trees. A particular point of pride was a black fig tree transplanted from the San Jose del Tucson Mission Orchard, linking the property to the region's Spanish colonial heritage. Inside, the house boasted high ceilings with lath and plaster, and modern conveniences that were rare in territorial Arizona, including gas fixtures and proper bathrooms. As Tucson grew, so did Brown's influence in civic affairs. He served as one of 4 councilmen in Tucson's first municipal government, helping to establish the foundation for the city's future development. By 1870, his worth was listed at $17,500 in the census, a considerable fortune for the time. He became known as a man who brought civilization's comforts to the frontier, importing several firsts to Tucson: the city's first sewing machine, its first baby carriage, its first zinc bathtub, and perhaps most impressively, its first Steinway grand piano. Yet the final chapter of Brown's story took a bittersweet turn. Like many frontier entrepreneurs, he became increasingly interested in mining ventures during his later years. He became particularly obsessed with finding a legendary lost gold mine in the Catalina Mountains, perhaps seeking to recreate his early success in the California gold fields. In 1907, at the age of 79, he was reported lost in the Tucson Mountains. Though he survived this final adventure, it was a sign that age was finally catching up with the seemingly indestructible pioneer. When Charles Owen Brown passed away on August 13, 1908, it marked the end of an era. The man who had once possessed a considerable fortune left no property to his name, but his legacy was far richer than mere material wealth. He was survived by his widow, a sister, Mrs. James Flynn, a brother, Asa Brown, 4 sons, William, Stephen, Owen, and Charles, and a daughter, Mrs. J.J. McTeague, each carrying forward their own piece of his remarkable story. Charlie Brown's physical legacy endured in the very fabric of Tucson. His home was restored to its original design in 1937, preserving the architectural heritage he had helped establish. In 1961, the property was deeded to the Arizona Pioneers Historical Society, and its declaration as a historic site prevented its demolition during Tucson's period of rapid development. Today, the building houses an art gallery, craft shops, and a restaurant, a living monument to one of the Southwest's most remarkable pioneers. From the shores of the Gulf of Mexico to the dusty streets of Tucson, from shipwrecked boy to city father, from scalp hunter to saloon keeper, Charlie Brown's story reminds us that the real history of the American frontier often surpasses the most imaginative fiction. His legacy lives on in the streets, buildings, and stories of the city he helped build, a testament to an era when the American Southwest was still a place where legends could be made, where a person could reinvent themselves multiple times over, and where determination, luck, and sheer force of will could transform a runaway boy into a pioneer whose influence would be felt for generations to come. I hope you enjoyed this Southwest adventure. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos on history, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.